We are going up.
You telling me when?
Yes, we are attempting here. There it goes. We are live.
Live? Oh, I wasn't even ready yet. Oh my. Um. Okay. Well, I can say, oh, what a great verse for today. Just a simple, Philippians 4:4. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Do you remember that little? I used to teach Royal Rangers all the time, and we, which is like a Christian Boy Scout organization, and we had all these Bible verses we had to memorize. That was one of them, and I'd always do it with the song. Remember that song, "Rejoice in the Lord always," and again I say, "Rejoice!" Woohoo! Right? Come on, Andy's awake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So excited.
Halfway.
Yeah, I kept Annie out late last night. Well, good morning, everybody. Let me find a place to get this camera up and running and just say I hope everyone's doing well during this Christmas season and just getting everything settled and you feel prepared. And how can you not feel prepared for, the aspects of just, we make this holiday into something that's more than it needs to be made into. It's great to give. We should just give every day. It makes it easier. We should celebrate the life of and birth of Christ every day. And then, this one day that we make it out to be, we can just turn around and, I don't know, just out of words. Can you believe that? Speechless.
Never.
I think what God did for us makes me speechless. So we're sitting there trying to come up with what to talk about. And last night I told Annie exactly what we would talk about. And this morning she had forgotten.
So did you for a minute. It's all right. You were expecting me to remember, I reckon.
So what we wanted to talk about, we're just calling the show Movement, and Annie is going to have to keep me up on this, on what's going on, if anybody's chatting in or who's on, who's not. And I can actually pull it up on YouTube because last week I got on her for not fully telling me when everybody, what they said or how I got it. You ever had one of those things that you just got to know? Let's just sit down and dive into this thing, right? And like, oh man, here we go. And so let me go in this live show so I can see the chat with all of you guys. And we have Indy, Paula, Sue, and Diane. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It looks like there's 6 people on, and I hope everyone just keeps giving that thumbs up. And I hope that you guys are bringing some questions to the air. It was a rush this morning to get things going and, just get ourselves situated for the show. And so what we were talking about was moving, and not moving from Pittsburgh to anywhere else. I mean, maybe one day, but just movement. There's so many things that, everybody talks about. What are the pillars of health, and it's diet, right? That's got to start with what you're eating and drinking. And that's why we run these numbers, and just to tell you how well that you are processing your food, how efficient are you in breaking down food and turning that food into a usable source of energy for yourself. But it's always like, hey, are we too tired to do things, or do we have so much energy that we're running to the gym and everything every day, right? So that benefit of exercise, and so many people, I remember for a period of time, the word exercise just wasn't cool. It just didn't seem politically correct to say, get off your butt and exercise. So the aspects of movement, just getting out and moving. And now we have those chi machines that you put your feet on, and that and they vibrate, or those whole body vibration machines where you stand on them and they vibrate at certain oscillatory rates. And I would think that if you tune that rate into the right frequency, if you can adjust the frequency and know what that is, that those vibrational machines are, just they can be wonderful. Just if you're thinking about the aspect of every cell of your body getting to move, and getting motion in there. And what does that do? Well, your body's all about adaptation. You're all about homeostasis. Let me adapt to my world around me. And if your world's in constant motion and causing your body to constantly move, then something has to adapt inside of you. And so we know that these whole body vibration things will turn around and stimulate blood flow and circulation and lymphatic movement and the benefits of just getting blood where it needs to be and getting oxygen where it needs to be is just amazing. So there's so many things that you can look at from moving that there's benefits, and it's primarily associated with improving circulation and getting blood where it needs to be. I hope that makes sense. And when we're looking at the equation, there's really a couple values that give you an idea of the blood. I would hope at this point I've said them enough that everybody out there is fully understanding which two values on that equation are telling you the health of your blood. And we can put Annie on the spot and see if she's got it, but she just stepped up and walked away, so I don't know what she's doing. I must have been boring her a little bit, but it's the bricks. Okay, you look at the first number, the sugar regulation, because the sugar regulation dictates oxygen availability. Too high or too low sugars affects your ability or availability of oxygen to the rest of your body. It's just these are kind of like mathematical truths of what Reams kind of identified. But your bricks is associated with potential energy, and so you can have a really high potential energy where your bricks is running 7.5, but the high sugars associated with that will displace oxygen, and therefore you won't get enough oxygen where it needs to be, and you won't have it. So when you have a 7.5, anything on that bricks above 7.15 is typically you're functioning as a diabetic. We're not here to diagnose you and say, hey, diabetes, 7.15 bricks, you've got diabetes. It doesn't work that way. But because you can eat pork and you can spike that up to 7.5 easy, by eating the wrong foods, and it causes cellular destruction. And then that decreases oxygen availability as itself, And so, so that bricks, when you're looking at controlling that bricks, you'll see that you're looking at oxygen availability and the health of that blood. I've got live blood, or not live, I got a dry layer up on the screen behind me, And but the other is the conductivity. We always want that sugar to salt ratio, the bricks to the conductivity ratio of around 1 to 5. 1 to 4.3 is ideal, right? If you look at the perfect equation and you just start how do those numbers relate to one another? What's the ratio of your sugars to salts? Well, why do we look at that? Because the salts dictate the thickness of body fluids. Okay, so and as they go too high, they irritate nerves. Okay, and nerves are what kind of tell everything in the body to how to respond. It's how the transmission of nerves are what's stimulating even blood vessels. You have nerves that will stimulate blood vessels and tell them with receptors that can have them to dilate or contract. Which will, effectively lower or increase blood pressure. If your body fluids get thick, it gets harder to push that blood where it needs to be. So we always like to refer back to how the numbers, but movement, people, why do we want to move? And what are the benefits of exercise? Okay, some of the things is improve your memory, improve your brain function. How? Improving circulation. Makes sense? I hope so. I'm going to check in here. It's been shown that it can protect against chronic disease. Really? How? Improving circulation, getting oxygen and blood flow where it needs to be, right? You see the aspects of everyone does it for weight management. Hey, I need to lose some weight. Let me get on the treadmill. Improve your blood pressure or your heart rate and your heart health. How? Improving oxygenation, circulation, and just as the tissues get what they need, things relax. Kind of makes sense. I hope. It's everyone. We look for that that endorphin high. Like you exercise hardcore and you just get that high off of it, and you feel like I can conquer the world right now. So you get that endorphins and those increased neurotransmitters, so it helps with mood, right? How many of you are too gloomy to exercise, but when you exercise, you actually feel better, whether feel better about yourself or just in general? It's because of those endorphins and how it affects those levels of neurotransmitters. Let's see who we have out here. Diana Weiss, good morning. Thank you. Marty, good morning. Justly, good morning. Andy, we have an oximeter. How well does it at telling blood oxygen? Well, those pulse oximeters, they're telling you the ability of oxygen concentrations, in the capillary beds. The capillaries, you have arteries that go to they just get smaller. You have the great big arteries that go to arterioles, and then when you get down to capillaries, it's like a mesh. And then as the blood goes through the capillary beds, like in your fingers, under your fingernails, the cells have to literally align almost one at a time to make it through the capillary beds. So if you have a high Brix and a high conductivity, and that salt and that thickness of those body fluids causes agglutination and causes your cells to clump together, then what happens? What happens in diabetics? You ever heard of diabetics getting ulcers or diabetics getting neuralgias because they aren't getting adequate oxygen and blood flow to their feet? And so, but a pulse oximeter is basically giving you your pulse rate and how well is your blood carrying oxygen. In reality, it should be above 95. Most people run 90, 98 to 100, and you should. And so, I think we have a hyperbaric chamber that we'll probably hear in a little while. I got somebody in there, and we'll hear it deflating soon. But a hyperbaric chamber, you could turn around and take a pulse oximeter in there with you, and you'll saturate out at 100%. Some people before they even get in. Well, what's the benefit of a hyperbaric chamber? The pressures based upon whose law was that? It's not Boyle. Dang, I'm forgetting physics laws. Dang, brain's going, Annie. Got to help me. I want to say like George's, but it's not George's.
The hyperbaric manual, it's not in there. So
no, it's not. So anyway, but there's what happens is as pressure goes up, gases become liquid, and so as you increase and put somebody in a hyperbaric chamber, what happens is the gas, the oxygen gets fully concentrated in the blood, and then it starts permeating and going to become liquid and going into what we call the ground substance, all the fluids that bathe around your organs and through your body that are outside your vascular system or your lymphatics. And so it just drastically drives up oxygen availability and pressures in the body. And so a low pressure system without even adding oxygen mask or anything will increase your oxygen concentrations by about 50%. When you're wearing a mask, that's concentrating the oxygen, you're getting about 35% oxygen, in that you're breathing in, and that drives your body oxygen tissue levels up about 120%. And so we can't turn around and make any claims. And you can go to the FDA and you will read that hyperbaric chambers, and the FDA explicitly says that we do not recognize it for all these things that people are claiming benefits from hyperbarics. They only claim that you can use it for altitude sickness, but they do state that it increases oxygen levels. So therefore, does higher oxygen levels have a benefit? And that's where these low pressure hyperbaric chambers, and why so many professional athletes have them in their home and things like that, is just drive up those oxygen levels, aid in tissue restoration, aid in tissues ability to just repair themselves because of the amount of stress that they put on. But we've had stroke victims, we've had people who have Lyme disease, and I had a couple kids who had concussions, and it was like magic. It takes about like 20 hyperbaric sessions is like the magic number to where you're really going to observe what's happening. And this one girl, her whole personality had changed from she had a concussion while playing high school basketball, and her everything changed about her personality, chronic headaches, whatever. And then around the 15th or 16th hyperbaric session, they came back after it for the next one, and her mom's like, "My daughter's smiling." I'm like, "Well, that's great." She's like, "No, my daughter hasn't smiled for months, and she's actually smiling and happy, and it was, so you could see these things start changing. And there are wonderful stories with hyperbaric. And it's kind of a, my way of cheating in exercising is getting in the hyperbaric chamber, then go dive in the infrared sauna, in all honesty. In an infrared sauna, you're burning 600 to 900 kilocalories. That's like an hour of aerobic exercise, people, in a 30-minute session. And while you can sit back and read, it just increases metabolic activity. But what are you doing? You're improving circulation. So there are studies out there that have shown infrared sauna to help with cardiovascular disorders and to help with circulatory disorders and all of these type of things. Oh, so you can see improved sleep, quality of sleep with exercise and movement. You can see just combating fatigue, because what are you doing? You're increasing oxygen availability. And if you go and you study, again, we go back and look at the equation. What number tells you that people are tired? It's that bricks, that available, that first number, the sugar value, because that's available energy. And so when you're looking at what's available to you, if you can increase that, and that bricks is representing sugars, which also represents oxygen availability. So if you're doing something that increases oxygen availability, it helps with your fatigue. So move, some people suggest joint pain and stiffness. Oh, I'm too sore to move, but I'm telling you, you need to. One of the best exercises out there in moving is mini trampolines. They're rebounding, people. I have a brochure right beside Annie on the wall, and there's a brochure over there for miracles of rebounding. You see the wall, Annie, over there, the thing that has all the brochures on it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there's a brochure on there for rebounding exercise, and you can go. They got about 30 things listed for all the benefits of what rebounding exercise does for you. And what do all those benefits come down to? Increasing oxygen availability, increasing circulation, because every time you decelerate and then you accelerate off of a trampoline, it's been shown that trampoline will absorb 87% of the shock on your joints compared to people running outside on asphalt or concrete, which you're better have a darn good pair of shoes to absorb some of that shock. I actually love jump roping, as well. I think jump rope is an incredible exercise. But jumping on a trampoline, when you decelerate and accelerate off that trampoline, every cell of your body has to stop and start, which goes up to about 3.5 times gravitational pull. Well, what happens if your cells are going through the stress of starting and stopping? What do? They adjust and they compensate. And how do they compensate? They improve cellular activity and metabolic activity. So bouncing on trampolines not only increases circulation, but you're increasing metabolic activity. And again, with exercise, you're increasing metabolic activity. You're stirring things up. Well, what does that do to my numbers? Right? You start breaking things down. So you could see that the numbers will start going up. The sugars will go up. The salts will go up because you start processing your waste a little bit more, And so what do you need to do while you're exercising? Drink more fluid. You got to drink water. How many of you get tired and drink water while you're exercising? There's a reason for it. It's because your body will start dehydrating. It'll dissipate that heat. It'll put it out through your pores, and you'll sweat fluids out, and that'll in your body. How many of you get really, really salty sweat because your body needs to get rid of that stuff? So movement, people, are just so crucial. And unfortunately, when Andy's sitting there and going over and reviewing my 5 phases, and nowhere has she brought up the fact that I don't have exercise in there. Thanks, Andy.
It's in there. It's not. Yeah, it's not.
No, it's not. But it is so.
This is why we took so long to finalize it, because we had to remember
movement. It's just people. How and even in simple ways. Stop taking the elevator, walk the steps. You know what? Those parking places really close to the Walmart door, how they're always filled, but they have these massive parking lots where there's nobody parked a quarter mile away. Well, park over there. Your car won't get scratched, but you'll also move. You need to take little ideas of how to move. How many people out there have some type of counter on them, and they count how many steps that they do per day, and have a goal of, hey, if I can hit 10,000 a day, I'm reaching, and having something there that gives you a way of saying, hey, a measurement that lets you know where you are and are you actually moving. You can look down and say, oh my God, I only did 2,000 steps today. Well, what did I do? Well, I checked my Facebook. I did, whatever. I just lived on this little device. Let me see who else is out there, because Annie is not telling me anything about what you guys are saying.
I'm sorry.
I just started using a rebounder. It seems very subtle, but I think it's helping me. Heck yeah. Rebounding is awesome. How many of you think like, oh, that's easy. I'll just go stand on a mini trampoline and just stand there and do that, bouncing, not trying to touch the ceiling, not trying to do high kicks, not doing jumping jacks, anything. 2 minutes later, you'll get off and you'll be like, oh my God, I feel that. Rebounding is incredible exercise. I don't know what I just did, Annie, but I just lost my chat.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's see. Rebounder. Let's see. Diana says, on an elliptical machine, watching your program. That's funny. So she's exercising while she's watching. And
hey, we just threw a breaker. And can you go into the bathroom and you'll see on the panel on the right side, one near the top, and throw that breaker back on? So I have somebody in the chamber and it just cut off on them. So Annie's going to take care of that, hopefully. And I might have to excuse myself to let that person know. If you guys give me 10 seconds, I'll be back. We interrupt this program. Sounds like she's getting out anyway. We're good. Okay. No, we're not. I hear it. So just help her get out. Yeah, just open the valve and just tell her we're going to get out at this point, and we'll get out early. So, yeah, so just depressurize and we'll go back and just. If that's what's kicking the breaker. All right, sorry about that, people. You're going to hear air coming out of a hyperbaric chamber here, and a little bit of air going on. So let me see if I can get my chat back up. For some reason, on my YouTube page, I lost the chat, people, and I don't know why. Why do I not have? There it is, live chat. Ta-da! I'm back. Okay. Let me see here. An elliptical machine, watching your program, two benefits uh, at the same time. Oh, God, yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, you're moving. You're seeing, I don't know what to say, except all, when you look at all of the benefits of exercise, there are so many energy, um, improving with chronic health conditions, um, uh, mood. I mean, you're affecting all these endorphins but you will notice if you start exercising that your sugars go up, your salts go up, and your nitrates go up. And sometimes your pHs will go down. Well, that doesn't sound good. It almost sounds like a food allergy. And but that's because you're increasing metabolic activity and you're releasing stuff. And so you have to drink water to help flush that stuff out, is what it comes down to. And so I love homeopathy, and there are particular homeopathic remedies, and one is called sepia. And sepia is this person who is just miserable, leave me alone. I'm a little bit angry. Give me some sweets. And they tend to, they'll get urinary issues or and stuff, female hormonal issues. But the one thing that sepia is just let me exercise and I'll be fine. They love to go on and exercise. So I'm assuming that the power didn't knock out. I see my television went out behind me, but with the live blood. But I'm assuming that the show's still live. Let me see what else we have on here. God bless how. God bless. Let's see, Prophet Bear. God bless how we're doing. I'm just working the mail in shorts in Michigan. It's only 35 degrees. That's awesome. Yeah, you're doing Wim Hof. Yeah. So I don't know how many people are aware of Wim Hof. So Wim Hof basically is teaching breathing techniques that is rapid breathing, full breaths into the nose, out to the mouth, and doing that repeatedly. It's like hyperventilating. And so when you hyperventilate, you're blowing off a lot of carbon dioxide. Well, what does that do? So you're turning around and you're lowering your acid levels in your body, so it's alkalizing, right? So you're going to raise your pHs. You're drastically increasing oxygen levels. But what happens is some people just get a little bit kind of loopy headed. So if you're going to practice Wim Hof, the first thing you do is you lay down and then you practice the breathing techniques laying down, and you do that rapid breathing, usually about a minute. I think Annie's done it and she's gone in the wintertime and sits in the creek. Have you sat in the creek lately in the winter, Annie?
I wanted to do it last night and I couldn't do it. It was beautiful. It's half frozen over and all snowy and beautiful, and I couldn't do it last night. I need that mental capacity when I'm hurting really bad to get in, but I didn't.
So
how do you do it, Prophet Bear? Give me advice.
So with Wim Hof, after you do that rapid breathing, then people will jump into the ice baths, or they can hold their breath for how long? Can you hold your breath for, Annie? After you do
more than 3 minutes.
More than 3 minutes. Yep. So you can get an idea, drastically increasing. And Wim Hof, there's direct correlations with what Wim Hof shows is with your autonomic nervous system. You increase those oxygen levels, you're affecting your nerves, you're affecting how your body responds. It goes into a kind of like a fight or flight, like a what's the word I'm looking for? Primal response, and where your body knows what to do, and people, it's kind of like you'll feel high when you do it, and so Wim Hof he's allowed people to inject him with bacteria. He's like, I won't get it, it's mind over matter, and he didn't. He's swam in the Arctic Ocean in shorts, come on, dude, with ice. I mean, Personally, love the heat. However, if you go back to hydrotherapy, there's a book. I think it's behind Annie.
Hmm.
There's a book called Principles of Hydrotherapy by Wade Boyle. I think it's right behind, and it's a white book, probably right in the middle of the shelf. But um, Boyle explained the history of hydrotherapy and how hydrotherapy, which is the using hot or cold water, and how that water, the temperature variations affect circulation. So personally, I get in my sauna at home, and afterwards I'll go get in the shower, and I'll start it out warm and kind of just wash all that stinky sweat off of me, and then I'll flip it over onto ice cold. And I always put my head in my hands, my head down in my hands. And if you get the back of your neck, your head, and your hands to adjust, then the rest of the water, boom, I can just have cold water on me, and I can take a 10-minute ice cold shower. And it feels incredible, but what am I doing? I'm doing Wim Hof breathing. But I've done it to the point where, you feel high, people, you really do. And you feel invigorated, but don't do it to the point if you're going to stand up to where you're next thing you know, like, oh my God, I'm going to pass out. Right. So he always talks about people starting their breathing technique in a sitting or a laying down position and learn how you feel with that. Don't just dive in and do it. But Wim Hof is amazing. Check him out. And there's an app that you can get teaches you about Wim Hof and his breathing techniques. And he'll tell you, don't force the cold.
Science talks about the breathing keeps your pH balanced.
Oh yeah. It raises your pH because you're blowing off
Yep.
So for those super acid, irritable, people that have liver stress and they're, just angry people who can't, have a hard time dealing in life. And then they get irritable bowel and their bowels are moving too fast and all those things with low pHs. Things go too fast. They don't absorb their nutrients. Wim Hof and breathing techniques, which I think we did a show on breathing, right? But breathing alone by affecting oxygen availability will not only increase your pHs, but have this profound effect, just like, exercise. We're talking oxygen availability, people. It's bottom line. What can you do to improve oxygenation throughout your body? So hydrotherapy, another great thing, alternating hot and cold. You usually do longer hots, shorter colds, like 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold, 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold, and do it like 3 times. Hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. You can do it to achy joints. You can do it to, I have a lot of, if you're a guy with a prostate disorder, get a shower that has one of those hoses so you can go down and go do your scrotum. Get down there and flip it from hot to cold at the end of your shower. Stay in there an extra 10 minutes. Doesn't sound pleasant. It's basically called a sitz bath, but that will drastically improve circulation to the prostate area and improves prostate symptoms by getting blood flow where it needs to be. Man, it's better than prostatic massage, wouldn't it be? Come on, I can't even get Andy to smile today. All right, let me see what we have in here. I'm going to get a rebounder for Christmas, but got the ionic you're going to love that foot bath. That's just, it stimulates an internal. You're basically absorbing those ions and stimulating an internal detoxification. Don't overdo it. Don't think you need to do a foot bath every day. Start 1 to 3 times a week and see how you feel before you just like, oh, I feel great. And oh, it's just detox. Feel like crap. Don't over detox yourself when you get these things. What should we look for in an infrared sauna? I have been looking at them for a while. What about EMFs? I do Clearlight. And we have an affiliate association with Clearlight Sauna. So if you contact them, we can give you a link. And but why? Clearlight uses non-toxic woods. That's one. You don't want wood that's going to off gas. They have low EMF. There's low EMF. Lifetime warranty. If you get a Clearlight Sauna and something happens, we cracked in the floor of ours, they have a tile, and so they can emit infrared and keep the floor warm. Which I put a towel on it anyway, so you're not sweating all over it. But we got a crack in it. They sent me a brand new tile. We've had if anything ever happens, they will service it. So one time we have the medical lights, the LED, the color light therapy in our sauna, and it stopped working, and they turned around and sent me a brand new $400 medical grade light to go in there. And what I did is I took the little remote control to the new one and tried it before I took it out, and it was my remote control. And I'm like, hey, I don't need this light. Do you want me to mail it back? They're like, heck yeah, mail it back. It's a $400 light. But they were like, thanks. I'm glad you figured it out, because when we troubleshooted it, I put new batteries in the remote, didn't work, but they just sent me everything. And so Clearlight is a wonderful sauna company. You will not be unhappy. If you get a 3-person sauna, a really large one, the other thing you have to be aware of is they go from a 15 amp plug, a standard plug, which is in right beside anybody out there, emitting 60 hertz frequencies and a beat frequency that just disrupts your autonomic nervous system. We could talk about EMS on another day, but if you get a 3-person sauna or above, you have to have a 20 amp plug. So you're going to have to, possibly run a designated wire from your electric panel to the sauna. If you get a large one, just be aware of that. Otherwise, a 2 or 1-person sauna, plug them right in. They go up in minutes. It takes you longer to get the sauna unpacked than it does to put it together. It's basically like 6 pieces. You got a floor. You put your 4 wall boards up. They all clip together. You put your ceiling on, and then you put your seats, and they have all the plugs, the wiring. They're all coated, and you just stick them together. They're all ready, done for you. They're a wonderful company. This man is brilliant. Oh, Wim Hof, he is incredible man. Profit Bear, I'd be scared. I'd be scared to see my step count. Then get out and move. People, and so I started going with walks with my pastor regularly, and I told him this week, I'm like, so you want to go push snow? And he's like, yeah, we'll go do that. So yesterday we started. He's like, Doc, I'm not going to keep up with you in the snow, because I'm 6'2" and he's about 5'6". And so, but we got off and we've been going for walks, and just beautiful. This, I love going out in the winter, and the trees have all that snow on them. It's just gorgeous, people. Let's see. Carol Shive, how have you been? It's been a long time. Oxygen sauna, my favorite, but excellent benefits from the foot detox, close second. Carol, I know you used to come in here, and isn't that sauna just awesome? And same, I love doing a hyperbaric chamber and then going into the sauna. That's my favorite combination. I did it yesterday morning. I just had to cut my sauna short because we had somebody scheduled early and I didn't play it out right. Zoltan suggests surfing for movement. It's free. The surfboard's not, but body surfing is. I agree. I need to learn how to surf. I really do. Philip, the guy in Australia who is the one who is, we have the computer program. By the way, the Health Coalition website is near done. We're just kind of getting that, but we're trying to, we still have to connect with Philip's software. All that software, John, it's just it's over my head. You see, I'm not a genius. I can't do all that stuff. But but Philip from Balanced Energy, who does the software program for RBTI, he goes surfing almost every week regularly. I've told him, when I come out there, you're going to teach me how to surf. So I'm up for it. Let's see. A cold shower a day is the best way to get used to the cold. Yeah.
100%.
100%. I agree. Every one of you, after you get out of that, right before you're finishing with that hot shower, hands behind your head down, flip it over onto cold only. Just let your hands and head adapt. And then you can go to your body. Cold mitten friction just means move wherever that water's hitting you and then move everything towards your heart. Even if you only do that for 1 minute, it's invigorating. It's totally invigorating. And then you step out into a steamy shower. You will find that cold, when you go back and look at hydrotherapy techniques, cold is the benefit. Cold is the one that has the most profound health benefits. So it's by far the way to go.
Prophet Bear said he's scared to see his step count because he walks a mail route. So mercy.
Yeah, that's a good thing. My 2-year-old son has Hydrocele. Do you know a good homeopathic approach for a natural remedy? I mean, when I'm looking at that, I look for more than just a physical symptom when you're looking at a, from a homeopathic aspect. There's, I'd probably go with cell salts. I'd start with cell salts. And, because cell salts you can turn around, and Kali murs for glandular swelling, calc phos and Kali sulf are associated with tissue regeneration and restoration. If there's fluid imbalances, you're looking at nat mur. And I'd probably start with cell salts and hydrotherapy. That alternating hot and cold, 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold, done 3 times, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Get blood flow to the area and let the body do what it needs to do. Linda, Xylem's used hydrotherapy for mental patients in the past. Then they switched to drugs. Terrible decision by so-called doctors. Well, I agree. Hydrotherapy is amazing. The techniques that they used to use, but hydrotherapy is all about circulation and oxygen availability. So you're talking, if we were talking about moving, hydrotherapy is a passive way to stimulate movement in the body as far as metabolic activity, circulation, blood flow. I love hydrotherapy, and it's just not practical to offer it to do what's called constitutional hydrotherapy. It was created by a guy. I've told you guys the history of naturopathic medicine. Benedict Lust in 1896 coined the term naturopathy, and there were, what happened was it was a combination between chiropractic and hydrotherapy and homeopathic and herbal and dietary aspects. And so they coined, Benedict Lust was the father of naturopathy. But there was a guy named O.G. Carroll, and he was a chiropractor. And he was, optimized how to do hydrotherapy, alternating hot and cold. He would do hot on the chest, hot moist towels for 5 minutes. And then he'd come back with an ice cold towel. He'd have the person wrapped up in blankets, and then you put the ice cold towel on there in a smaller area until the body warmed it up, until you actually generated the heat to warm it. And then you flip over and you do it on your back. So you'd lay on your stomach and they do it to the back. And in between there, he was using electricity, sine wave, electric currents over the solar plexus and on the back as well, at areas that would stimulate organs. He'd do it where I think at T8 on the back, which is associated with the liver, and then he'd do it over the solar plexus on the abdomen, again to stimulate blood flow to circulation to the liver and detoxification. And so back then, hydrotherapy and diet was curing people. Get blood flow where it needs to be, get rid of the crap out of the diet. And O.G. Carroll not only perfected the way they still teach hydrotherapy today, he perfected that in 1923. He was the guy who figured out food sensitivities, how to test for food sensitivities. So if you go and look at the history of naturopathic medicine, and you hear of like Father Knipe, K-N-I, German guy, and you hear of these practitioners who did hydrotherapy and stuff like that. Father Knipe was probably the main one. But they could not, and even Benedict Lust brought his own wife, I believe, to Dr. O.G. Carroll, because they were doing the traditional naturopathic stuff, whether using cell salts, herbs, diet, hydrotherapy, and things, something, they weren't getting the nature cure. There was still something going on. And O.G. Carroll tested for food sensitivities using radionic techniques. Radionics, oh my, originally Abrams is the one who did that. And then he identified that certain foods could not be combined and certain foods were intolerant by people. Get these foods out of your diet, do the same thing you were doing, boom, nature cure restored. And so that's why we've had a show specifically on electrodermal, on EAV testing, and getting tested for food sensitivities and food allergies. What am I reacting to? How do I get this stuff? If you take the intrinsic stress off the body, and then the body kind of just responds by lowering that total load, the body now has more available energy to restore. So Annie has this great restorative health model thing that I don't know if and she could pull that up, but the restorative health model, if you go and you're looking at it, I have a poster over here. Do you have it, Annie?
Yes, it's up.
It's up. Okay. So as you look at that, we've talked about this many times. You start on the left, total load, stress. What's your stress? Physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, environmental. What am I breathing? What am I putting on my body? What am I bathing in? What am I eating? What, you got to think of the total load. Microbial stress. Why? Because there's 10 microbes for every cell of your body. There's 10 microbes in your body, And so the health of those microbes, if things get imbalanced, those microbes get imbalanced. And so at some point, you see that there's a threshold. That threshold in natural medicine is called your total load. If I exceed that total load, something's got to give. I just can't do it all. And you get symptoms. Your body's saying, can't do it. Can't do it. And it tries to tell you something. And so then we come over and you say that line comes down and you hit the 5-phase approach. What is it? 5-phase mentality. Phase 1, people, clean up your environment, pure air, pure food, pure water, electromagnetic field protection, EMF protection. I've got to do a show on EMF at some time and have somebody on to talk about that. Phase 2, test yourself for food sensitivities. Get those foods out of your diet. Test yourself and see if you're reacting to molds or parasites, or what are your specific burdens. Let's not only clean up the phase 1 total burdens just in how you're living your lifestyle, but let's identify your specific burdens in phase 2 through testing. Phase 3, support. That doesn't mean take everything known to mankind for whatever ailment you have. It's what does your body need? And RBTI, there's nothing better. That says, hey, we need calcium, we need potassium, we need iodine, we need zinc, we need selenium, we need manganese, we need lithium, we need rubidium, we need boron, molybdenum. You turn around, and if your pHs are off and you're having trace mineral deficiencies, certain symptoms can be associated with specific mineral deficiencies. And although Reams taught that if you correct the calcium, because it regulates all of them, the others will correct over time, I do find that trace minerals help. So you do phase 1, 2, and 3. I lower the load. I lower the total direct load on my body. I give my body support. And then what happens? I raise my threshold. I'm supporting my body with what it needs. So my threshold goes up. I can tolerate more. And I've lowered the load on my body. And now what's going to happen is I'm generating more energy that I'm getting from my, than what I need. And the body just starts cleaning up. You detox, phase 4. You just start getting rid of this stuff. And so what happens is your symptoms through that detoxification and through that support just start going away. But you'll notice that we left that red line of symptoms below the optimal threshold with that big bubble in there that says restoration range. Why? Because phase 5 is self-awareness. And those symptoms even though you're below your threshold, if you have something come on, you know that, hey, something's going on. I might be deficient in something specific, or I've eaten something. You have to have that awareness and what's going on to tell your body. So in this process, you're restoring your reserve energy, you're remineralizing the body. Your body goes into a restoration mode because that's what it's meant to do based on homeostasis. And so that's just kind of outlines the whole basis of things. And that was 5 phases that she put up there. I was also talking about the restorative health model, the one that we did with the.
I have them both up.
Oh, do you? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so we can take those down, and you can look at Annie instead. So Annie, start talking.
Well, because I have things to say. Need more water.
And let me see what else we have going on here. Is it better to use distilled water in the ionic detox or just regular water? I don't know what regular water is, but I wouldn't use tap water. So what we do is I use filtered hot water. I have a basic countertop filter that I can run that does carbon filtration. And that I can do hot water because heat is going to stimulate more blood flow and circulation to the feet. And then, so in our tub, I'll put about 2 inches, two to 4 inches of hot filtered water, and then I add distilled water. Okay, so I'm starting with clean water. As you know, if you use just straight distilled water, you're going to have to add a lot of salt to it. And this is where you can use sea salt. But the idea is, and those devices have to have a particular level of conductivity based upon the amperage of what's coming out. And that's all in the instructions. And so, but in our office, we use distilled water with hot filtered water. And then we add, I say it's a proprietary trace mineral blend. I'm adding some salt and some trace minerals that we kind of have chosen to add to it, so we know what's going in every single foot bath. Because the process of iontophoresis, phoresis is movement, is you can drive things into the body as well as attract them out. And so if you got a bunch of crap in that water and you're doing tap water, you can drive crap into the body that your body has to deal with a foot bath. So I definitely use, filtered, distilled, and then add your trace minerals, your salt, to get that up to the conductivity. So we talk about conductivity is the movement of energy, that salt value in your body, right? The conductivity. So if you take distilled water and you put an electrical current in it, you can put your hand in there and you won't get shocked because there's nothing to conduct the electricity. And so you have to have a certain amount of conductivity. It's the same with those ionic foot baths. They tell you to add so much salt to where the reading, the amperage is at a particular level, so the conductivity is where it needs to be. Let me see here. I mean, you are brilliant. I was trying to be humble there. Thank you very much, Carol. I'd say I'd be scared to see my step count on my mail route. That's a lot of steps. Interested in becoming a member of the coalition? Sign me up. Okay, I mean, right now the coalition is we're just having people within that come to my office join. But yes, people, it's going to be going live, and when it is, you will know about it. I promise. Linda, what brand did you get? I'm assuming that would be in regards to either an ion foot bath or a sauna that we've talked about. The sauna is Clear Light saunas, and the alum talks. If you go and look at our videos, I did a video a long time ago. It was a product highlight, 15 minutes of talking with the owner of Alum Talks. And again, if you order through Alum Talks, she'll reduce the price a lot because I've given you my commissions so you can get a better price than she sells to anybody. I think she normally sells them when they're discounted for $1,300. If you say that I sent you, she'll sell it to you for $1,000. And it's a great foot bath. And we're going to re-record that because when we did it, she was in her house and it was dark and there's a fish tank behind her. And I'm like, let's try to do this in a little bit more of a professional setting. So at some point we're going to re-record that video. I bought a Leaps and Rebounds. Oh, the rebounder. Rebounders, I suggest Rebound Air, REBOUND, reboundair.com. Lifetime warranty, people. As long as you're not over 300 pounds. If you are over 300, you have to do the one that folds up. It's a quad fold and it holds 400 pounds. And that Biggest Loser, that weight loss thing, they used to have Rebound Air rebounders on their show. But they're lifetime. I've had one for years. The springs went bad from being used so much. They sent me a whole box of new springs to put on it. I had one of the cover rip on it. They sent me a brand new cover. But if you want a Rebound Air, they are, I think they're around $300 or something like that, $300, $350, but you're getting a lifetime warranty product as long as you own it. We actually sell those for people. Whatever the price is online, we match the price and they allow us to order them for you. And then we get a finder's fee. You can't call them and say, hey, Dr. Misak sent me. There's not commission based unless we actually sell it to you. But whatever the prices are online is what we match. So if you're interested, Rebound Air is the rebounder that we have. And that's the company that Jack LaLanne, that was it, right?
Maybe he did make a juicer.
yeah. He's the one who started the rebounding craze back in the 1970s. I remember watching when I was a kid, and him and what was his name? Started with an A. They wrote a book, The Miracles of Rebound Exercise, probably behind Annie too. But rebounding, they talk about rebounding for 15 or 20 minutes was equivalent to taking the amount of energy expended is the amount of energy that it would take to move like a 2-ton or 20-ton train 2 feet. They did the mathematical calculations in that book of how much energy, plus the benefits of rebounding with remineralization of your bones because your muscles are pulling on your bones. And therefore it's great for osteoporosis. That's what they do in NASA, is before astronauts go into space or when they come back, they have them turn around and jump on mini trampolines. So let me see if there's anything else here.
Yeah, quick set of numbers right there.
Oh, there is a set of numbers right there. Let me see what else before I go to that, because we are like out of time. Can you believe that? Already an hour? When I was 15, surfed with 65-year-olds in Santa Cruz that had the same color Cadillacs as their boards. Nice.
That's awesome.
My very first change was drinking distilled water and fresh lemon juice. With that alone, I immediately started detoxifying. Of course you did. People, this stuff works. Remember, blue thumbs up. Thank you, Marty, for that reminder. Alum Talks is great to work with. Yeah,
you missed one. Do you have any recommendations on what food plants to grow at home? All of them.
Oh, yeah. For Annie's problem, I like succulents. I mean, you can see I got a plant behind me. It's an Aurelia. I've got succulents going through my window. A snake plant produces some of the highest amount of oxygen. The spider plants are high oxygen. Drosera is, but if you have animals and they like to chew on them, they're toxic. So you got to watch which plants are possibly toxic. I would probably
rubber plants absorb mold.
Yep, rubber plants. I would probably say that if you Googled, Dr. Google knows everything, right? I bet if you Googled plants to increase air quality, I bet you somebody out there has found which ones will increase your air quality the most. So 53-year-old female, 2.6, 6'4" over 6'2", 3.67, 4M. Something you got, Marcia, you're missing your nitrates, and there's no way your conductivity meter is off, or you didn't multiply it. by 1.43, because you're not going to have a Brix of 2.6 and a conductivity of 3.67. And if you do, you are not coordinating, and you have something really bad going on, because the saliva pH is low, and so therefore the liver is not processing. You're not utilizing your minerals. Your conductivity is too low in relation to your sugars, and so energy is not getting where it needs to be. So sometimes you'll see lack of coordination, but you'll see anemic states. I hate to use that big C word. You can see cancers with people who have a low conductivity ratio. And so I'm going to first challenge that with those numbers. I wouldn't believe your conductivity, and I would say calibrate your meter and make sure that you multiply your value by 1.43, because that's just way too close of a ratio. That's less than a 1-to-2 ratio. And that's just not going to happen and I challenge you, like I said, I challenge the meter reading first. So let's bring some meters back, bring some numbers back next week. Make sure you've calibrated. In the meantime, people, move, just get around and move. You know what I'm doing today? I'm going sled riding with my boy. We're going to go, and I'm going to, he's like, Dad, can we get those old rudder sleds? They're the fastest going. I'm like, yep. So I'm going to get my grinder out. I'm going to polish up the rudders. I'm going to melt some wax and put them on there. And we are going to fly down the hills over in South Park. So people, it's going to be, until I come back, you guys are going to experience Christmas. And I hope it is just blessed and wonderful. And don't forget the reason for the season, people. It's all about God. And in all this chaos that we're dealing with, He's in control. One thing to know, okay, on the 21st, right? What's today's date?
19th.
19th. In 2 days, okay? In 2 days, an hour after sunset, Jupiter and Saturn are going to align. And they suggest that it's going to look like the Christmas star. So everybody check it out. It's on the 21st. An hour after sunset, there's an alignment of Jupiter and Saturn for the first time since the 1600s, and the time before that was 7 BC. And that's why people were saying, maybe this is what guided the wise men. The wise men did look at stars, but I can't sit there and verify that. But people were saying that the Christmas star is going to be in the sky where Jupiter and Saturn are aligning. Just praise God, people. And enjoy yourselves. Be blessed. And just thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys next week. Until then,